Our program is, for entry-level athletes. Our program is, again, we're working with developing the elite youth athlete program. So I get them in second, third grade, and we hold them till, about 8th grade. So it's, again, for all the kids that want to take their game to another level. And again, we compete at elite level, but we also have developmental teams that do come in. And, we're learning this great game of 7-on-7, and that will then venture into flex football, which is the next progression. So again, we want kids coming in 7, 8 years old, and we'll take them, typically about 15, 16 years old. My coaching philosophy, it's pretty simple. It's 3 things. And when athletes come in to be evaluated, or from day one, we teach, promote. 1 is I want you to have fun. 2, I want you to learn. 3 is I want you to compete, in that order. And we do a bonding, relationships is very important to me. I want to get to know each and every one of my athletes along with their parents. And invest the time that's going to be invested in them over a duration of their school ball and however far they take that, is I want to get to know them, as a human being. We're playing this sport for a small fraction of our life, but then you have that relationship bond with them, throughout. So we'd have always a fun introductory. I bring them in, I want them to tell me my first and last name, how old they are, what school they go to, and then 2 things. Give me your favorite athlete, doesn't matter what sport. And 2, share with the team or share with the group something important about them or something that not many people know about. So I always demonstrate, raise my hand up and announce myself, tell them my age. I'm 44, I'm going on 12 really. And I always tell them a story about when I was 10 years old. We didn't have the cool video games, we didn't have the cell phones. We went out, we played in the parks and rode go-karts. I didn't have a go-kart, so they had a raffle to win a go-kart. And I ended up signing up for it. Small piece of, little 2x4 piece of paper, my name, where I live, home telephone number, and 6 weeks later they called my mom as I was at school, and they said your son won a grand prize, which was a 1984 Pontiac Fiero car. And so I got called out of school thinking I'd done something wrong. My dad was home, which my dad's never home from work, and went and sat down and was questioned on what is all this about, and had to remind them it was about a go-kart. And so anyway, I ended up winning a car. Had social media existed then, it would have been craziness being 10 years old and having a cool car. And anyway, my mom and dad, parents eventually got it. I got a go-kart, which I wrecked 2 weeks later, so that killed that story. So it's things like that to where they can see a side of me, as a coach, being in an authoritative position, but to where they feel comfortable, feel open, and learning this great game. And there's a lot of attention to detail that goes into it. So that's where I always like to begin initially with, with my athletes, is getting that relationship process built, and then at that point, what I'm going to give them, what I expect out of them, and lay down all the expectations for them coming in, as we go out there and go to war together. Yeah, the success the program has, so since 2015, we've won 12 state championships. Really the past 2 years, the growth of all the teams. When you have one team, it's fun to it's easy to focus on that one, where now there's 12 teams out competing, and I put about 5 or 6 teams out each and every time we compete, whether it be a league, whether it be a tournament. The state tournaments get challenging as teams advance, but the last 2 years I'm really proud of is combined, we've gone 51-4 in the Texas State Champion tournament, in the Tournament Champions and Texas Elite Lone Star Championship, with 9 state championships. So that achievement for what the athletes have been able to do, and only being one person running all that, couldn't have been done without my support system, my parentals that are always there when I'm jumping field to field to field, and my little coach clone Dons, I call them. They're out there calling plays, because I do have to jump, when I get a code red, to another field, so they're out, managing the game like they're taught to do. So, I'm very proud of, putting that on when it has happened, 10, 11, 12-year-old, quarterbacks to be able to do that, and having parents step in to help while, that's going on. So, that's been really a lot of fun. But yeah, since 2015, we've been successful. We win, 95% of our games, league tournaments, state tournaments. This year, looking ahead, I try to challenge my program, my teams each and every year. So looking ahead to 2019, we want to travel nationally. and go up and compete against the the top teams across the nation. And that's the fun, great thing you're seeing the growth in this sport is it is getting younger and younger, where those type of tournaments or that type of platform is not just there for junior high or high school teams. So to be able to take a fourth grade team out and compete for a national championship for those kids, that'll be something they'll never forget. So that's our vision, moving forward. No, we have a good time with it, and the great thing is the relationships that are built, not just within our program. It's fun to walk by, jumping around, and see my fourth grade athletes sitting with my eighth grade athletes, and they're talking to one another about the game and concepts and things that they've been taught. And when they're out there playing, they're cheering each other on. So that really is probably what I'm most proud of than the wins and losses or any achievements. Is just seeing that relationship bond between the multi-ages, schools that are participating in the program. In my program, what's all included is, there's so many facets, of that. Obviously, the X's and the O's, teaching the game, the attention to the detail of the game, the football IQ, to me is very important. But I want to get into life characteristics, things that these young men, again, I get them at third grade. I'm getting them at that's their entry into having a professional coach, coming into a program where, their father is not the coach or a friend, is not the coach. So, getting into things of transparency of, are you coachable? Can you be taught to play this game and be able to go out and apply these things at an age, at a level where they understand that. And I go through how I communicate with a third grader is completely different how I communicate with an eighth grader as far as verbiage and things of that nature. So to me, that's important. I always try to, make sure I'm, dialed into it. We have so many funny little analogies. I could go into that all day long. So, are you coachable? Are you teachable? Can you go out and you apply? What kind of teammate are you? Are you going to be, moping around if you're not getting the ball as much as another athlete? Or, if you make a bad play, are you going to be carrying that on? So there's ways that I have to get into and tap into psychology, sports psychology with that athlete. And we have different analogies we use. One thing that, when that occurs is I just go to them and ask them, hey, what's the most important play? It's going to be the next play. Forget what just happened. Learn from it, in a positive way where I take them under my wing. And it's about building these athletes up, these young men. As adults, we go through that all the time, the trials and tribulations of life. So it's about the self-esteem, self-confidence, building these young men up, but then teaching them life lessons, to where I always come in, I'm going to give you 110% when I'm out there coaching. I expect the same in return. The efforts that are put out there, the attitude that's put out there. Going into, again, what type of teammate? Are you going to be there to support your teammates, or are you going to be the one that brings your teammates down? So, we talk about that, the teamwork. The teamwork is so important for us to be a successful elite team or elite program. We have to have that mended. We have to have that teamwork. And I've been so fortunate to have 250 athletes in my program, with the families, with the grandparents. The support system is just, I can't go into it enough, it's just unbelievable to where we've been able to find that, and people that are committed, and that just correlates out in between the lines, and I believe that's why we're so successful, is these young men and be able to find that and plug that in. Yeah, what your child will learn in this program, again, is getting them at an entry level, which I like to get them in right away. It's second, third grade, 7, 8 years old. So, bringing them in, they're going to be learning big boy concepts through progression, how to play this game, for as far as they take that. But entry level is very important. I believe in this. And the great thing about the 7-on-7 and the flex football, as we all have experienced in other sports, there's never really been a gap. There's always been a gap in football. It was where you went straight from flag football basically into tackle. Think about other sports. In basketball, when you start at an early age or you're entry level, you're shooting on a 6-foot goal. But the free throw line may be a lot closer in, and then it progresses up to 8 foot before you go to 10 foot. Same as within baseball. You don't just go out there and line up and you got a 90-mile-an-hour fastball coming at you. You start on a smaller diamond. You start playing T-ball, and then that progresses up. The bases are shorter. They then get regulated, length and distance. So football, we've never had that, and that's the great thing about, working with athletes that 3rd to 8th grade, is this is able to transition into tackle, teaching the concepts they need to know. And I've always been asked questions, you know, what age should my athlete, my son, go into tackle? And I've always come back and said, you know, I think 7th grade, when you're entering into school ball, that's really what we're doing all this to prepare you for, is entry into school ball. Whatever school you go to, you're going to be taught the same concepts. In Texas, we all run the same type of stuff. So in my program, that's what I make sure I stay up to date on, whether it's Highland Park, whether it's South Lake, whether it's a private school, whether it's Austin Westlake, or what have you, you know, is make sure that the teachings are with, you know, where the athlete can take that and approach that and learn and move, you know, forward and into those programs and excel. You know, all the athletes that I've had in the program in the past and currently, they've all done exceptionally well in tackle. They've made the A-team, they've won state championships. So I've seen, first and foremost, eliminating tackle at that age, transitioning, using this platform, using this game. By the time they get to 7th grade ball, they're going to know what they need to know. A particular story of an athlete that has developed in my program, and really this covers all these athletes. It's just not one that stands out more than others. You know, I see kids, since I have a lot of my teams and athletes are mixed schools, which I like that, where they get to come together and meet one another. And I do have, you know, obviously teams that are from the same school, because once you get to a certain age, you have to, you know, participate that way. But the younger teams are a little bit mixed within the same area here in Dallas. So the self-esteem, self-confidence, I see them grow, being more outgoing, and just what they develop with friendships, not just them, but also families and parents. One story in particular that really stands out is a couple years ago with one of my younger teams, and we had to compete 2 years above our level in a big kind of a kickoff tournament that was in January. And he was a very shy individual, you know. I'd always tell him little jokes to get him to laugh, just to get him to open up. And he was just young, and he was shy, and he missed practice a lot. And I think he had, you know, some struggles at school, you know, from what I was informed. So we weren't playing in a game. It was really a big game, playing a team out of Houston. And he was put in the game. And we're moving the ball down the field, and I'm, you know, being informed that we only have about a minute to go in the game, and we're down by a touchdown. And so with him not coming to practice a lot, we have a lot of audibles in our turbo, which is what I teach these kids in practice behind the scenes, where when the scenario comes up, guys, we're not going to have time to huddle up. We're going to have to be lined up. We're going to have to go. So we were in that scenario, and I looked over, and he was playing his position, doing a great job, but I just didn't think he knew the signals. So it was our last snap. It was under 5 seconds. We had to hurry up, place the ball. The snap was off. The last second, I noticed the coverage was a little bit different. On his side, the safety was pinched in. On the other side, far side, back side, the safety was played wide. We were running one of our concepts where I needed the high third of the field, and we quickly checked over to his side of the field, not knowing that he knew the play. And I kind of glanced over as the snap was gone, the horn went off, and this young man ran the route to perfection. Caught the ball, quarterback threw a perfect pass, he caught it. I can talk about the story now, but when it happened, I couldn't talk about it because it got me so emotional, because I knew where this athlete was coming from. He caught our game-winning touchdown, and that was really what launched that team. And when the horn came off, everyone ran and corralled him, and he ran straight at me and jumped in my arms. And I held that little boy and gave him the biggest hug I've ever given a human being in my life. And a parent was able to capture that picture of that moment. And I know for him that changed his life as it did for me. So that's just an example of of a life-changing event where, it happened out there on the field in a live scenario. Why do I coach? Man, that's a good one. I really enjoy talking about this. One, it's for the kids. Number one, it's for the kids. Two, it's the passion for the game. I love this game so much. I love the kids that are involved under my wing in this game, and just everything that I'm able to teach them about discipline, about hard work, about teamwork, all the things that are life skills that are involved, in that. And one thing, or a statement I like to throw out there a lot, is the way the platform has given us is knowledge is useless unless it's executed. And that goes a long way. We can have all this knowledge, but to be able to imprint and put that on these athletes through time, through progression, and see them go out and execute this knowledge, that they're given. and the passion that's put in, the passion they give back to me through their parents, all the things that are the dynamics of that. That's why I love what I do. To me, it's not work, man. I get to go out, this is my business suit. I get to go out and coach 20 games in a row on a Saturday afternoon, which is hard. I'm not gonna lie. But to do something to where, you know, you have that passion, not many human beings can, you know, have that opportunity or luxury to do so, but it's with children. It's with, you know, human beings that are 7, 8 years old and see them grow as human beings and knowing what they can take from what we do and apply that in their life someday. And you know, what's so cool now is see athletes that I had at this age, now they're in their late 20s. Some are playing in the NFL, but come across and see them where they now have children, they now have kids. And when they get to a certain age, as you know, they can't wait to come play for Coach Don. And at that point, I know I've done something right. But no, the passion is what drives me, you know, in being a football coach. I can be reached on Instagram at Texas QB Elite. I'm on Facebook, Don Smith. My email is extremeqb10@yahoo.com. Other than that, I'll see you out there on the field.